The South American tropical rainforest is a carpet of green spread across the landscape. Macarena district is located in the center of Colombia. This environment sustains a rich flora and fauna. A diverse array of New World primates can be found here in Macarena. The shape and size of each species is incredibly varied. Their group and social structures, too, are diverse.
どうして中南米の猿の研究をやるのかということですけど、重要な問題は
The reason research was begun on the South American primates is because they account for 1/3 of the world's living primates. It is therefore impossible to ignore this large group of primates if we are to fully understand the process of human evolution.
ネオトロピカルといった環境の中で霊長類がどう生きているか。
It was also very important for us to learn from an ecological perspective just how primates have adapted to the neotropical environment. 9 species of primates can be found in the Duda River system of Macarena, 7 of which can be observed right here in the Macarena research camp. There is no other place like this where so many different species of primates can be observed in one place. While they are not a complete representation of all the New World primates, research has been conducted for over the last 10 years to clarify the social systems of these species.
とにかくその一つ一つの社会を明らかにしていくということで、
Let us now take a look at the society and ecology of the primates living here on the right banks of the Duda River.
これからこのドゥダ川右岸一帯の猿たちの社会生態を見ていくことにしたいと思います。
Leaving from the capital of Colombia, Santa de Bogota, by plane, we head for the Macarena, the closest village to the research camp. This is the dock at Macarena. The little village of Macarena has a population of around 3,000 people. After buying food and fuel necessary for research, it is all loaded onto the boat, along with the camera equipment brought in by the film crew from Japan. The boat takes off at 8, heading up the Guayabero River for camp. The journey takes 14 hours by boat. Progress here at the rapids becomes difficult. During the rainy season, the river swells at this point and it becomes impassable by boat. We are forced to load all the equipment and the boat engine on horses and circumnavigate this point on land. Three hours pass, traveling along primary forests, pasture lands, and open wilderness. Once again, we load the equipment back onto the boat and continue our journey up the river. Along the way, a number of exotic birds come into view. Close to evening time, the Macarena Plateau comes into view. This plateau is about 1,500 meters high and 102 kilometers long, running north and south. Beyond these hills lie the Andes. It's 5 in the morning. This is the Macarena Ecological Field Station. From the surrounding forest, we can hear the chirping of birds mixed in with the resonating sound of woolly monkeys and howler monkeys calling in the distance. Morning mist begins to rise from the river surface, and small swallows begin to flutter about. Professors Itani and Izawa move briskly into the forest to have a look around. In the rainforest, humidity goes up around 95% with a temperature of 25 degrees. The tropical forest supports a vast variety of plant and insect life. The shapes and colors are quite unique. This large member of the fig family is known as the tree strangler. Wrapping around large trees, the species matures, overpowers its host, and eventually kills it. Before this happens, however, it is able to form its own supportive root system and stand on its own. This is the long-haired spider monkey. Supporting itself with long, narrow limbs and a tail, it moves about in the trees. From a distance, it looks like a spider, hence its name, the spider monkey. At 10 kilograms, this is the largest of the New World monkeys, next to the woolly monkey. The preferred food of the long-haired spider monkey is fruit, but on occasion they will also eat new leaf buds. The members of a troop form loose parties, repeatedly fissioning and fusing together throughout the day. The males often form tight groups. In this way, their ecology and society closely resembles that of chimpanzees. This is the owl monkey. This small monkey weighs 1 kilogram. It is the only nocturnal primate species found in the New World. They live in pairs in the holes of trees. Because they live a nocturnal existence, owl monkeys are rarely seen during the daytime. This is an extremely rare event to film them during the day. Here at the Macarena research site, a network of trails have been cut to allow the field workers easy access to all parts of the forest. Over 30 kilometers of trail have been made. This is where a troop of red howler monkeys live. Professor Izawa has been observing this troop since 1986. The red howler monkey weighs approximately 8 kilograms and lives within a small area of forest, roughly 30 hectares in size. A very unmonkey-like creature, the howler monkey shows very little change in its expression. They exchange very little vocal communication between group members. One more important aspect is the fact that they do not engage in grooming, a very important social bond-building activity for other primates. The howler monkey stands out from the rest of the 108 species of primates in this respect. Basically, their fingers are not very dexterous. By design, they must grasp objects between their index and middle fingers. Therefore, they must grasp for objects with only 2 or 3 fingers, a very difficult task for delicate manipulations. Only rarely are they seen pushing their fingers through the fur of a groupmate while resting up on a tree limb. Immediately after rest time is over, they begin to forage on young leaves. They eat a staple diet of mainly leaves. Their daily activity resembles more that of a ruminant than a primate. After feeding for 30 minutes to an hour, they rest for 2 hours and then feed again. Repeating this cycle throughout the day, their daily activity is very simple. Not actually sleeping, they just sit there and rest. Because the leaves are not directly digested, they rely upon bacteria to break the meal down, and think that they require time to allow for the material to be properly broken down and absorbed by the GI tract. After foraging on leaves, all the members of this red howler monkey group gather in one spot to defecate. The red howler monkey has a large air sac and a large hollow bone in its throat, which acts to resonate sounds that can be heard up to 2 kilometers away. Professor Izawa built a large observation platform up in the trees in 1989. From this vantage point, he is able to get an eye-level view of the monkey's habitat. The platform is situated 25 meters off the ground. From here, the howler monkey's resonating calls can be heard, and the tropical rainforest spreads out before your eyes. The sun's rays are gradually changing. The howler's call sounds like something from the underworld. From this vantage point, everything looks completely different. This is how they spend every day of their lives. This is the world they live in. After resting and feeding, the red howlers begin to move off. So as not to be left behind, each troop member travels along the same route. They head off for the next feeding site.
この猿は土をよく食べるんですね。食べると頻繁なんですよ。3日に1杯ぐらい。
These monkeys eat soil. They will eat the equivalent of about 2 bowls full. Among the 7 species of primates here, spider monkeys and howler monkeys are the only ones known to do this. They have a special place where they come to eat soil. Observations over the last 10 years shows us that animals that do not eat soil include insects in their diets. For example, wild boar, deer, and some birds.
借景でも例えばその大型の宝冠鳥っていうのはここに2種類いますけども、これはもう雑食なんですね。絶対土。
The omnivores tend not to eat soil.
彼らの
Those animals that do not include insects or other animals in their diet do not eat soil. This is an important key to understanding the phenomenon.
明確なキーなんですね。
This group contains 9 individuals, including young offspring. Since observations began on this group, member composition has changed, but the size has hardly changed.
この群れの特徴的なのはワンメールグループとして、オスが基本的に1匹だという。
A trait peculiar to this group is that it has only one adult male. It has the same one-male structure as that found in the Hanuman langurs of India. Similarly, infanticide occurs whenever a new male takes over. In the last 10 years, 12 infants have fallen victim to infanticide. Males leave the group, while females remain for life, a trait common to Japanese macaques. Because they have a matrilineal society, males leave the group when they mature at the age of 5 or 6 years. In the last 10 years, all the adult females have died in the group, and their daughters have matured and replaced them. In all this time, there has never been a case for members of both sexes to transfer out of the group. This holds true for the 2 neighboring troops as well. There's no mistake about it. Throughout the forest, there are fallen trees. The trees began to decompose from the humidity and become a home for other animals.
これはもうアマゾン最大の。
必ず国立博物館にインディオのこれだけで作った見事な首飾りがあるんですね。
The small anteater lives up in the treetops. Like the howler and spider monkeys, they have a prehensile tail that allows them to wrap it around tree limbs. An animal moves nimbly on a limb high up in the trees. This is the common squirrel monkey. Weighing between 700 and 800 grams, this is the smallest member of the cebid family. This individual is eating the fruit of a member of the Melastomaceae family. The common squirrel monkey also eats insects and various other things. The surrounding tree begins to ruffle in the wind, and in no time a heavy rain begins to fall. Common to the rainy season, squalls come almost every afternoon. The The bright rays of sun return to the forest after a good rainfall of 1 to 2 hours. These spiders live in groups of several hundred. The threads of their webs glisten in the backlighting of the sun's rays. Professors Nishimura and Itani, accompanied by the Colombian botanist Pablo, go into the forest to observe woolly monkeys.
Itani 先生、これはもう洗礼を受けたですか？
どれ？
あ、触ったこれ、このアリは強烈ですよ。痛いですよ。
どこにアリいます？
あ、アリ？いますよ、この。ほらほら、これも一回刺されたらもう忘れられないですよ。
刺すの？
刺す。これは本当に強烈です。で、日本のモソタケと同じぐらいのサイズですね。でもこのトゲご存知ですね。
ああ、して
有刺鉄線そっくり。
すごいね、このトゲは。
でもこれは下だけなんですよね。高さ
上のは大丈夫。
上のは大丈夫。
だから吠えざるが寝るわけですね。
寝る。これウーリモンキーかクモザルだと彼言ってるんですね。で、あれここにこれ種がありますわ。
The seedlings of Gustavia are transported by the dung of monkeys.
でだから猿は森に頼って生きてるけれどもまた森を作るっていうか。
そう。
This seedling will someday mature to be a 30-meter tree. We have arrived at a yobo tree, a favorite of woolly monkeys. Professor Nishimura is currently observing a 27-member troop. Like spider monkeys, they have a patrilineal society, but the members of the group stay together and do not undergo fission and fusion. In Brazil, the woolly monkey is called barigudo. It means pot-bellied. Like the spider monkey, woolly monkeys love fruits. Now, during the rainy season, they like to eat yobo and belusia of the Melastomacea family, and henrietella. Also, they like to eat the fruits of cecropia, found together along the riverside. In this respect, they are much like spider monkeys, but they differ in that they also love to eat leaves and young buds. This is the pith of monstera, and they eat it quite frequently. Another difference from spider monkeys is that they always eat insects. Because they are big eaters, they must eat foods that can be found in large amounts. For example, they eat army ants. Army ants will attack, but the woolly monkeys will brush them away as they continue to eat.
で軍隊は攻撃してくるのですが、それを振り払いながら食べます。その他に彼らの中にたくさん住んでおるシリアゲアリも食べます。また、
They will also eat the ants found inside dead branches. They also love groups of living spiders. After a heavy rain, they will collect the rain that clings to the bottom of branches and drink it. How long have you watched this troop? Since 1986. That's the alpha male over there. He hasn't changed for the last 10 years.
全く10年前と同じようですね。健在ですね。
I have watched the group go up into this yobo tree numerous times. The females will go up with just about anybody, but the males are very particular about who they travel with.
メスはお互いに誰とでもよく上がります。でもオスはまあはっきり言って避け合ってると。何と言います。大人のオスが
There are 4 males. Their rank order is quite clear. The alpha male often goes up into the tree with females. The home range of this group is 250 hectares. It was smaller at first, but has gradually increased in size. Does their home range overlap with the neighboring group? I think this group's home range overlaps with about 6 to 7 other groups. They do not have a particular part of their home range that is occupied only by themselves. The groups don't fission or fuse, but when there is a large fruit patch, they will come together into the same space to feed. They behave just like bonobos in this respect. I've seen other groups come together like this many times. Woolly monkeys vocalize a lot. The call we hear now is a light warning call. Many individuals are calling at once. The young monkey following its mother is about 6 months old. The mother has just grabbed onto a clump of grass with her tail, and she is making a bridge for her infant to walk across. This is a kind of bond reassurance between mother and infant. It happens quite often. This infant is not yet 1 year old. It will only move 2 to 3 meters at most from its mother's side. It is not yet quite strong enough to move by itself, but it seems quite happy to be able to move around on its own. But it quickly returns to mother's side. The infant is drinking its mother's milk. Then comes along an adult male. He too wants to suckle the female. If the female likes the male, she will let him do so. This time, the male only mouthed the nipple and did not drink. The animal on the left is a male, and on the right side is a female. The two are playing. This can be frequently seen when the female is in estrus. Just shortly after this, the two began copulating. This young female very recently joined my study group. For the first 2 to 3 years, a young female will mate but not conceive. This closely resembles the circumstances seen in the patrilineal society of bonobos and chimpanzees. When were you first sure that they have a patrilineal society? It was very early on that I knew for sure it was not a matrilineal society. But as I mentioned a moment ago, I knew for sure that woolly monkeys did not have a patrilineal society when I found that males did not form close-knit groups together. It took me some time to be sure of this. This is another result of long-term research, a very important result indeed. Sunset in the expansive tropical rainforest. After the brilliant light of the burning sun fades, everything suddenly turns dark. Professors Itani and Izawa head out to look for tufted capuchins. Izawa has continued his observations of the tufted capuchins since 1975. They weigh about 3 kilograms. This group-living species prefers a dense forest habitat.
モンキザルはもうホイザルと違って完全に雑食ですからね。
Unlike the howler monkey, tufted capuchins are totally omnivorous. They eat fruits, soft tubers, pith of heliconia, its flowers, and even animal matter. To the present, they have been verified to eat mice, red squirrels, eggs, chicks, frogs, lizards, just about anything they can catch, they will eat. Professor Izawa succeeded in provisioning a group of tufted capuchins in 1986 and has continued to study them ever since. They are fed banana slices every day. The monkeys are anxiously waiting at the feeding stand. This group that comes in here is made up of 3 families comprising 21 individuals. Family 1 is now assembling on the stand. This is the grandmother of family 1, and this is an infant of family 3. It is not tolerated. This is number 2. It is really taking time before family 3 is able to stay at the feeding stand. This male is from family 3. The number 2 male and the female of family 3 are very friendly toward each other. You can see that when number 1 leaves and number 2 comes. You can see that number 2 has a special relationship with the females and their infants. As is the behavior of each individual different, so are their faces. They each really have unique personalities.
一匹一匹の行動とかなんかが違うさるほど顔形が違うという。だからこんな違うっていうのはもの個性があるという。
行動にも個性があり、顔にも個性があり、面白いですね。
In your research to date, I think you have shown that they are really quite intelligent animals. Yes, for example, members of a group know in an instant just where everybody else is. They have very good spatial recognition. There are many interesting facets to their lives. Do they use tools? They will use natural surfaces or objects to open palm fruits.
ただこう卵みたいにそーっと割るという。
Let's see what they do with an egg.
はい、やっちゃいますね。
今の2番目。
今2番目の音ですね。
この割り方がね。
はい。
Look at that. He very carefully opens the egg and sucks out the insides.
あの時の姿勢なんかね。
姿勢。
こう出てくるでしょ。ちょっと割って。吸い出すというね、まず。
下のぶっつけだね。
そーっとこれ、実にやって、そーっとこれ。
そーっとやって。
そう、少し出てくるから舐めようとしてですね。あれ全然掛けが違うんですよ。
あ、そうですか。
はい。ああいうことが許されるという。うまいもんですよ。
実に見事ですね。
If he were a Japanese monkey, he would simply crack the egg open and lick up the yolk. What a difference.
道具使用ということ、道具使用とか道具製作ということに関してその
There is no doubt that intelligence is required to manufacture or use tools, but intelligence alone is not enough to explain it. Capuchins exhibit the behavioral propensity to hit or bang all objects against a hard surface. This behavior appears as early as 1 year of age. At the feeding site, for example, after they have grown tired of eating, they will take a piece of banana or other food object, like they would do with a hard palm nut, to eat, and pound it against something. Chimpanzees in captivity will also frequently probe into holes, the same way they would as if they were fishing for ants in the wild. Therefore, just because an animal uses tools doesn't mean it's smart. Orangutans and gorillas are said to be as intelligent as chimpanzees, but they rarely use tools in the wild. I think that tool use appears when an animal's behavioral propensities matches its particular feeding habits. Based on Professor Izawa's many years of research on New World monkeys, he makes the following comments.
僕がそのやってる新世界ザルっていうのは
In my work with New World primates, I have found particular behaviors and social structures that resemble those of the Old World primates. These findings are too often quickly connected in some way with human evolution. I think that the first thing we need to be doing is to make good comparisons among all the non-human primates. Only after that can we be confident in our interpretations of primate behavior to human evolution. For example, when the Fusion Society of Chimpanzees was discovered, people were quick to theorize that this was the origin of human society. We have found that, like chimpanzees, spider monkeys have a Fusion Society. We should ask ourselves, why have parallel social structures arisen in the New and Old World primates? We should first be making such comparisons. If we did, we would not be so quick to jump to conclusions about all kinds of theories regarding the origin of human behavior and society. This is why I think it is important to do a careful job of studying the New World primates. It is my personal view that this approach will play an important future role in broadening our view and understanding of human evolution in primatological research.
そういう狙いを僕自身はつけてるわけです。
Towards the final days of our filming at Macarena, Professor Itani climbs into the observation platform, high up in the trees. With the wilderness background of Macarena in view, he shares with us his thoughts about New World monkeys.
私は 南米の森見るの初めてなんですね。でこれまでもアフリカばかり長年やってまいりま
This
した。
has been the first time for me to see a South American forest. I have spent a career of many years walking about Africa. I came here to see how the forests of both continents compare.
あるいはどう比較するか。アフリカを見た目で南米の森を見たいと思ってまいりました。
Capuchins share a common social structure with Japanese macaques. They both have a matrilineal society. The owl monkey lives in pairs. Nishimura's group has found that both spider and woolly monkeys have a type of patrilineal society.
内容は違っておりますけれども、共に不敬の社会を持っている。それから
Previously thought to be neither matrilineal or patrilineal, the social structure of howler monkeys appears to be a form of matrilineal society. This is based on 10 years of research by Izawa. However, it is my impression from the brief observations I have made here that they may have a very primitive form of matrilineal society.
平行進化というのはですね、大体形態学者が言い出した
Anatomists speak of parallel evolution. As the anatomical structure and function of species have evolved to resemble one another, so too has the complicated societies of primate species in the Old and New worlds. These are the kinds of important findings that have been made from the type of research that we do. 60 of the 180 species of the world's primates are found in Central and South America. The important discoveries made showing that the social structure of these primates is fundamentally not different from those of Asia and Africa. I think that these discoveries will be extremely important in furthering our understanding the evolution of our own species.
突き詰めていく上でですね、非常に重要な成果だったんではないかと私は思っております。